Hey girl, how are you? My beautiful sis, my homie mama friend. Welcome to the discovering, welcome to the Becoming Her podcast. So today, we're gonna talk about controlling your temper. Yes, moms that I've talked to typically say that they have a little trouble controlling their anger, their temper, the yelling, the screaming. So I too have dealt with this, deal with it. I'm very mindful these days, very intentional, but it's nothing new to me. I definitely can relate. I've been there, and it's something that we can control. We can control it. So just to kick it off, I do want to start with Ephesians 4 and 29. It says to let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto hearers. So that's setting the tone of this conversation. We're not going to let anything come out of our mouths that are corrupt. We're going to make sure that what we say is being relayed in a way where it could be received in a positive manner. Okay? So, let's get started. Would you believe me if I told you that I was the pop-off queen? I was a pop-off queen. You say something that I don't like, and I had to reply with something slick. I had to say something that I knew was going to take you there because you took me there, right? When I was mad, there was no reasoning. There was no calming down. There was no using your inside voice. It was, I am going to be hurt. You are going to hear what I have to say. And low key, that's exhausting. It's physically draining. And to be in that state, it exerts a lot of energy. Like, it takes a lot to be angry. And you always feel so tense. So that's draining. And who wants to feel like that? It takes a long time to come down, too. So, quick little story time. My oldest, she was hesitant to tell me stuff. It took for my husband to tell me that she wasn't comfortable coming to me with things because of my responses, because of the things that I would say. I would yell, I wouldn't think before I speak, and whatever came out of my mouth was out. And it's hard to take back what you say. Once you say it, it's said, right? So when he told me that, I felt some type of way because he was like knowing things and I had no clue. But she was telling him stuff. She felt more comfortable going to him with whatever issues, whatever run-ins she had with other people. She was comfortable talking to him about it, whatever it may be, whatever struggles, because my responses in the past made her it made her not want to talk to me. And I get it. Because who wants to come to somebody who is unapproachable? You never know what's going to come out of their mouth. Sometimes you just want, a supportive word. You want a little advice, or maybe I did something that I ain't had no business doing, but mom, I want to be transparent and open with you, but I made an environment that wasn't inviting. It wasn't an inviting relationship with the two of us, so she was less apt to come and say what she had to say. So that made me take a shift for change, for sure. I didn't want to be that mom. I don't want to be that person, but I definitely don't want to be that mom in my household where my kids, they don't want to talk to me. I've experienced that as a child with one of my parents. I didn't necessarily, some stuff, let's put it like this. I knew what I could say to which parent and how they were going to respond. I knew one parent you can't say certain things, and the other one you could pretty much say, whatever, because they understood. But I don't want to be the parent where my kids don't want to come to me and say, whatever it is, because they think I'm not going to understand and respond in calm and sensible ways. So I had to soften up. I had to let go of this angry attitude. I don't even know the words to explain it, but it was a very bossed attitude. You know what I mean? So I had to soften up. I had to tap into my soft, feminine mom life. And it had to start at home. It started at home first and foremost, and it became my way of life. After practicing this soft way of talking, living, moving, presenting myself, and holding myself in this feminine space, it took me to start doing that at home, and then it started to shine beyond the household. I didn't even know, it wasn't something that I was really paying attention to as far as other people noticing my behavior change, but they did. For instance, my mom, not too long ago, told me that she was reading Ephesians, I think Ephesians 4:4. And she said she immediately thought of me. And I was like, yo, really? I'll be trying. You know what I'm saying? So, I knew that I had made changes inside my household, but man, it was sticking to me to the point where outside of the house, that's how I was and am. That's how I am now. So when we're angry and upset, we have to consider what will come from our response in conversation. So what will be happening after you respond to whatever it is that is brought to you, whatever situation shifts your mood and your attitude. You have to be responsible, or you have to pay attention and consider what will take place after, depending on what you say. So you can either act or you can react. Typically, a reaction is something of an emotional response. It's really quick. It's not really something that you think through first. But acting on something, you're going to take into consideration what needs to take place and how. So you're going to go into action. But action takes a thought process. It takes strategy. Reaction is whatever it is, off the handle it is, it's just quick. So come from less of an emotional response that can cause internal damage, have, whoever you speak it to may feel some type of way internally by the way you're responding. If you're yelling, imagine what that is. First of all, imagine what it will be like as an adult for somebody to be yelling at you. Dependent on who, I guess it doesn't depend on who it is. Just imagine somebody of significance or higher up yelling at you, And now put yourself in your child's shoes, and you, someone of significance and higher up than them, yelling at them like they can't hear. Now, they may act like they can't hear. They may be very selective, but they can very much so hear. Our yelling is a reaction out of frustration. Our yelling is an emotional response to something, anger, irritability, burnout. Like, those are, emotional reactions. So think about, before you respond and you act, will it produce fruit? What will come out of it on the other side of your response? Will that conversation be fruitful? Will it be edifying? Are you going to speak to that person or your child or your spouse in an edifying manner? Are they going to feel fulfilled and from the fruit that you are bearing? How will it shift or affect the environment? So you know that if you respond in a negative manner, it causes tension in the environment. Your environment changes. That tension be thick and strong, and it causes division. It causes people to put up walls. And we know what happens when there's division. You know what happens. What would it do to our mood and our attitude? It will depending on the response, you can either feel good after the conversation and feel like you accomplished something positive, or you could be in a funky mood about it. Not wanting to talk, face frowned up, angry. Those are the things that we have to take into consideration. I had to do that, intentionally pay attention and do that, and come from more of an action than an emotional reaction. So I mentioned what can happen. A few things can happen depending on how we move, right? It can either be positive, negative, but in a negative sense, it causes division. And we know what happens when the house is divided. Somebody likes to come in and stir up your home environment and start to plant seeds, negative seeds, in the minds of everybody involved. Next thing you know, you believe in lies, things that weren't even there. Oh, he ain't gonna talk to me because blah, 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 blah. Now he think I'm about to, he think I'm a simp, or he think he gonna run me, or you know what I'm saying? Or the kids, they think they run my house. Those are lies, y'all. Lies that we come up with in our minds because our spouses and our kids, they don't think like that. And they don't have to think like that. We could prevent them from thinking like that. In my marriage, a lot of arguments, like thinking back, and we're not perfect. We still have arguments. But they're actually less of arguments and more of discussions now. Very much so discussions and not arguments. We're not like having an exchange of words to prove who's right and who's wrong. We having discussions and we working that thing out. I want to mention Ephesians 4:26 and 27. 26, be angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. 27, neither give place to the devil. So when your household is full of anger, you're giving place for the devil, because now we're not communicating. Now we're not on one accord. Now there's room for somebody to whisper in our ear and say negative things and we actually believe it. So let's not be angry. And let's not sin by cussing each other out to make them feel bad and try to be someone of high significance off of some pride. You know what I'm saying? And the positive things, it could bring us together if the conversations are fruitful and edifying and we're all getting along because we're not reacting off of our emotions. It brings us all together. So now there's peace, there's unity, connection, security in your household and your relationships. We're communicating. Nobody is feeling hesitant to come to you about a situation. You're communicating with your kids where they're actually hearing you and understanding what you're saying instead of feeling like, I'm getting fussed at. And they just, frazzled on the inside, feeling like you coming down on them, because there's power in this tiny member, in this tongue. There's so much power. So let's be smart with the power that we have of our mouths. We can control it. Speak life with words that build up to be a gift to the hearer, to the listener. The book of Proverbs mention pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, health to the bones. That's what positive words can do. Like as a honeycomb full of honey, just as sweet as can be to the soul, and health to our bones, strong and strengthened. So let's think about speaking pleasant words, and in a way where it's not coming off as full of strife, like yelling. Yelling is it's like fighting words. When you speak in all caps, that's to say, like in text messages or you typing in an email, whatever the case may be, you typing. If you put them in all caps, you're yelling. And nobody receives that on the other side as it's just being a regular conversation. They're like, why are they yelling? What are all these caps? So now it's beef. Them fighting words, So some quick tips that I do to manage and control my anger is I think before I speak. I do. A lot of the time, I may not even say anything right away. I'm very selective when to speak. I am, especially if it makes me upset. I'm really gonna wait to respond. Excuse me. All day long, I fill my mind with righteous thoughts. I do. If praying without ceasing was a person, it's me. Hence why a lot of time I have my head covered. A lot of the time, depending on the situation, I am not going to address anyone if my head is not covered, because I have to be guided by the right angels. That's a conversation for another time, but my head is going to be covered. If my head is covered, just know I'm coming correct, okay? Because I thought about it. The Lord is on my side with this conversation that we about to have. I also give grace to the kids and not have expectations of perfection, because I understand that they're not going to always get it right. And they are not here to please me. So I had to shift my mind as to they need to do what I say because I said so, because that's how I like it. It's not about me. I am here to teach them life skills to survive. That's my job. When did it come to the point of pleasing me? I needed to shift that mindset. I cannot expect them to be perfect. I am not perfect. How dare I expect them to be? I try to reduce stress when I'm not and that I'm not operating in burnout. So, because usually when you're operating from a burnout state, you're very unpleasant. You always ticked off. The very small things will set you off. You burnt out. You ain't got nothing left. Your cup is empty. You don't have anything to give. So I try my best to be mindful of my mental state and my stress levels. I do not want to be a person of high chronic stress levels. It's a silent killer. And no, it's not. It's just not a good trait to have. We don't even have to have it if we pay attention and be mindful and have boundaries. That's another conversation for another time. But yes, I try to reduce stress. If I have too much on my plate and I feel like I'm operating from a state of burnout, something gotta go. I'm about to take a pause. So something's not going to get done. I'm not going to be available. I'm going to sit still. I'm going to be very mindful of my mental state. It doesn't feel good when you're always stressed out, frustrated, overwhelmed. It just doesn't. It's not a good feeling. So that also helps me to control my temper. I be quiet. Baby, I be quiet. I do. I do a lot of this. Listening. I do a whole lot of it. I do a lot of listening. I'm not quick to respond like I used to be. I don't know if that's old age. You get a little wisdom when you get older. Everything don't need to be addressed. That's how I am now. Everything doesn't need to be addressed. And I'm definitely not about to meet you up there high in anger. I'm not meeting you there. You probably gonna get more mad at me because I'm gonna stay down here in the middle in a calm tone. You're not finna take me up there. I don't want to feel what it feels like to be that upset up there. No, thank you. I've been there. I've done that. I'm over that. Don't like it there. I listen to hear and not respond. Sometimes when you listen and you hear what somebody is saying, it don't even need a response. Some of us listen to react with the response, not listen to hear. You could just hear somebody out, and your actions can be enough. You ain't even got to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? I keep in mind who I am representing and aiming to please. I am representing Christ. I am trying to be out here representing Christ, modeling and shining light. I ain't got time to be out here off the handle. No. I am trying to model. I am trying to play my role in the body of Christ. I ain't aiming to please y'all. I'm aiming to please him. So let's be clear. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not trying to get out of alignment with my negative emotions because of my negative emotions. I got better control than that. I know I do. You do too. We do. I pay attention to my mood. Am I upset? Easily triggered right now? Is this a good time? Some people be like, you could get it today. That's gonna be when I'm not approachable. I'm a fade to the back. I'm not gonna be up front if my mood is not right. I'm not finna be like anybody could get it. You picked the right one on the right day. I'm not gonna be that. I had to change from that. Mika, in those times when your mood is like that, be quiet. Shut up. Because what's going to come out of your mouth is not going to be something edifying and fruitful. So be quiet. Ain't no anybody can get it. And you got me on the right day or this the wrong day. Whatever, the sayings are. I try my best to leave my personal feelings and emotions out of it. I'm a very emotional creature. So I try to leave it, out of the equation and not react from my emotions, Easier said than done, but it takes practice. And we grow through these things. These are opportunities of growth. We don't get through it, we grow through it. So give yourself some grace for growth. You can control your anger. You are very much in control of your temper. You can do it. So, thank you. Thank you very much. This was great. I hope this was helpful to you. Pass it on. Share to your other homegirls, your homie mama friends. Leave a comment. Let me know. Is this something that was helpful for you? How do you enjoy the podcast? So for more mom support, for additional mom support, check out mamaversity.com/calm balance mom. Mamaversity is MOMMIVERSITY calm, balanced mom. I am the calm, balanced mom. I support busy moms to simplify mom life. Together, we claim calm, create balance to discover peace, peaceful households, pursuing kingdom households. So until next time, sis, peace.